The wind howled across the Alaskan wilderness. Snow fell heavily, making it hard to see more than a few feet ahead. Olivia Mason pulled her thick coat tighter around her body. She had come to this remote area to study weather patterns, not to get caught in the worst blizzard of the year. Olivia checked her device again. The strange energy reading was getting stronger. As a climate researcher, she had seen many odd things in her years of fieldwork, but nothing like this. The reading suggested something was giving off heat and energy, unlike anything her equipment had ever detected before. Just over this ridge, she told herself, pushing forward through knee-deep snow. Her research station was 5 miles back, and her colleague Patty would be worried if she didn't return soon. But Olivia couldn't ignore these readings. Her curiosity always got the better of her. As she reached the top of the small hill, Olivia gasped. Below her, partially buried in snow, was something that shouldn't be there. Something impossible. That can't be real, she whispered, her breath forming clouds in the freezing air. A path of destroyed trees led to a deep gouge in the earth, now filling with snow. At the end of this path lay what could only be described as a spacecraft. It wasn't large, maybe the size of a small bus, but its shape was like nothing made on Earth. The metal, if it was metal, shimmered with an iridescent quality despite the low light. Parts of it glowed with a soft blue light. Olivia's hands shook as she took photos with her phone. The craft had clearly crashed, with one side torn open. Dark smoke still rose from parts of the wreckage despite the heavy snow. Then she noticed something else. Footprints leading away from the crash. Small, delicate prints, nothing like a human boot. They were already filling with fresh snow, which meant they had been made recently. "Hello?" Olivia called out, her voice swallowed by the wind. "Is anyone there?" No answer came. Olivia looked back toward her research station, then at the footprints. They would soon be completely covered. Whatever, or whoever had made them, might need help. She followed the trail, moving carefully. The footprints were strange, with 3 main toe-like impressions instead of 5. They seemed to drag more as they went on, as if the person making them was growing weaker. After following the trail for about 500 yards, Olivia saw something ahead. A bundle of fabric lay in the snow, partially covered. As she got closer, she realized the fabric was the same iridescent material as the crashed ship. It seemed to pulse faintly with its own inner light and, strangely, was not covered in snow like everything else around it. Olivia approached slowly and knelt beside the bundle. She reached out with a gloved hand to touch it. The material felt warm despite the freezing temperature. Then the bundle moved. Olivia jumped back, her heart racing. Carefully, she leaned forward again and gently pulled back a fold of the shimmering fabric. A small face looked up at her. Olivia's breath caught in her throat. It looked like a baby, but not a human baby. The skin was pale and seemed to shift colors slightly, like the northern lights in the sky above. The eyes were large, a deep purple color with no whites, and they blinked up at Olivia with clear intelligence. The face was more delicate, more angled than a human infant's, with no visible nose, just 2 small slits. No hair grew on its head, but there were faint patterns on the skin that seemed to glow gently. "Oh my God," Olivia whispered. The baby-like creature made a soft sound, somewhere between a coo and a musical note. It didn't seem afraid, just weak and cold despite the strange fabric wrapped around it. Olivia noticed that the fabric was fashioned into a sort of insulated blanket. There was more of the material than would be needed just for a blanket, almost as if someone had taken off their own clothes to better insulate the child. Next to the bundle lay a small device about the size of Olivia's palm. It pulsed with the same blue light as parts of the ship. Olivia picked it up carefully. It was warm to the touch and seemed to beat like a heart. She looked around, searching for any sign of the child's parent or guardian. "Hello?" She called again, louder this time. "Is anyone here?" Only the wind answered. Olivia looked down at the footprints she had followed. They came directly to this spot and stopped. Whoever had carried the child here had not walked away. Olivia realized with growing horror what must have happened. Someone had survived the crash, carried the baby as far as they could, then used their own clothing to keep the child warm. In this weather, without protection, they would have frozen to death quickly. "They sacrificed themselves for you," she said softly to the baby, who made another musical sound in response. Olivia knew she couldn't leave the child here. It would die in this cold, strange technology or not. She carefully rewrapped the bundle, making sure the baby was completely covered by the warm, glowing fabric. She also picked up the small device, guessing it might be important. As she lifted the bundle, she felt surprisingly light. The baby reached out a tiny, three-fingered hand and touched Olivia's cheek. A wave of emotions hit her: fear, hope, love, desperation. For a moment, Olivia felt like she could see a tall, slender figure with the same opalescent skin, wearing armor of some kind, placing the baby in this bundle with tears falling from large purple eyes. The vision faded as quickly as it had come. Olivia gasped, nearly dropping the bundle. The baby had shared a memory with her, its mother's memory. "I'll take care of you," Olivia promised, cradling the bundle close. "I won't let her sacrifice be for nothing." She turned back toward her research station but took one last look at the crashed ship. She should report this, she knew. But something told her that might not be the safest thing for the child. There would be questions, tests, maybe worse. Olivia made a quick decision. She would tell Patty, whom she trusted completely, but no one else, not yet. First, she needed to make sure the baby was safe and healthy. As she trudged back through the snow, the bundle held tight against her chest, Olivia's mind raced. Her life had just changed forever. She had found an alien child, orphaned and alone on a strange planet. Everything she thought she knew about humanity's place in the universe had just been upended. The baby made another musical sound and snuggled closer to her warmth. Despite everything, Olivia smiled. Whatever happened next, she would protect this child. It was what its mother would have wanted. Olivia reached her research station as night fell. The small building, designed to withstand Alaska's harsh weather, looked like a metal box half buried in snow. Inside, Patty Gordon was checking weather instruments and making notes on her laptop. She looked up with relief when Olivia entered. "Thank goodness. I was about to call for help," Patty said, then froze when she saw the bundle in Olivia's arms. "What's that?" Olivia kicked the door shut behind her and carefully placed the bundle on the table. "Patty, I need you to promise you won't tell anyone about this yet." Patty's eyes widened as Olivia unwrapped the shimmering fabric. The alien baby blinked at the sudden light, its skin shifting from pale blue to a soft pink. It can't be." Patty backed away slightly. "It's exactly what it looks like," Olivia said. "I found a crashed spacecraft about 2 miles from here. This baby was left in the snow, wrapped in these clothes. I think its mother died saving it." The baby made a musical chirping sound and reached out toward Olivia with its three-fingered hand. Olivia let it grab her finger and again felt a rush of images and feelings. Hunger, cold, confusion. "It needs food," Olivia said. "But I don't know what it eats." Patty, a biologist by training, overcame her shock and approached cautiously. "Its skin looks almost like it could photosynthesize, like a plant. See how it changes color in the light?" They tried placing the baby under their brightest lamp. Its skin tone shifted to absorb the light, and it seemed to grow slightly more energetic. "Water too, maybe?" Patty suggested. They carefully offered the baby water in a small cup. It didn't know how to drink from the cup, but when Olivia dipped her finger in the water and let the baby suck on it, it seemed eager for more. "What are we going to do?" Patty asked as they watched the baby absorb light and water. "We have to report this," Olivia hesitated. "You know what will happen if we do. Government agents will take it away. It will spend its life being studied in some secret lab. But we're not equipped to care for an alien baby," Patty argued. "We don't know what it needs, what diseases it might carry, or even if it's dangerous." As if understanding her concerns, the baby reached for Patty's hand. After a moment's hesitation, Patty let it touch her. Her eyes widened. "Oh," she whispered. "It's showing me things. A war? Ships like the crashed one, but bigger, fighting against these dark, angular vessels." She pulled her hand away, disturbed. "Olivia, this baby isn't just lost. It was sent here. Its people are at war," Olivia nodded. "I got that impression too. But that doesn't change the fact that it's just a baby who needs protection." They agreed to wait until morning to decide what to do. They took turns watching the baby, who seemed content to rest under the lamp, occasionally drinking water from a dampened cloth. The small device Olivia had found with the baby suddenly activated in the middle of the night. It projected a holographic image into the air, a star map with one system highlighted. Then the image changed to show a tall, slender being who looked like an adult version of the baby. She wore what looked like armor and spoke in a musical language neither human could understand, but the emotion in her large purple eyes was clear. love mixed with terrible sorrow. A message from its mother, Olivia whispered. The message repeated 3 times. Then the device went dark. Olivia tried to reactivate it but couldn't. By morning, they had decided to contact Samantha Kirby, the sheriff of the small town of Winterhold 20 miles away. Sam was Olivia's friend and could be trusted to be discreet, at least initially. They bundled up the baby in its mother's clothing and drove their research station snowmobile to town. The baby seemed fascinated by the journey, its eyes wide as it watched the snowy landscape speed by. Sheriff Kirby was skeptical when they first arrived at her office, but one look at the baby convinced her they were telling the truth. "Holy hell," she whispered, looking at the infant alien. "This changes everything. We need to keep this quiet for now," Olivia insisted. "At least until we figure out what's best for the baby." Sam nodded slowly. "I can give you a few days, but Olivia, something this big can't stay secret for long. And that crash site will be discovered eventually." Sam offered her vacant cabin on the edge of town as a temporary hiding place. It was remote enough to avoid curious eyes, but close enough for Sam to bring supplies. By that evening, strange vehicles were spotted entering town, black SUVs with government plates. Leading them was a woman who introduced herself to Sheriff Kirby as Agent Eleanor Reed from the Department of Defense. "We've detected an unauthorized entry into Earth's atmosphere," Agent Reed told Sam. "Our satellites tracked it to this area. Have you noticed anything unusual in the past 24 hours? Sam lied smoothly. "Nothing but bad weather." "What exactly are we talking about here?" "That's classified," Reed replied coldly. "But we'll need access to all areas around Winterhold. This is now a matter of national security." Sam called Olivia as soon as Agent Reed left her office. "They're looking for your little friend. They don't know we have it yet, but they will soon. They're setting up a search grid." Olivia looked down at the baby, now sleeping peacefully in a makeshift crib. In just one day, she had grown attached to the small being. Its telepathic abilities had allowed it to share more images and feelings. Its homeworld with tall spires and 2 moons. Its mother singing songs in that musical language. The terror of the attack that had forced them to flee. "We can't let them take it," Olivia decided. "Its mother died to keep it safe. There must be a reason she sent it here. To Earth specifically." That night, the baby woke suddenly, its skin flashing with alarmed pulses of red. It reached for Olivia, sharing a vision of the black SUVs approaching the cabin. "They've found us," Olivia told Patty. "We need to go. Now." They quickly gathered supplies, food, water, the special lamp the baby seemed to need, and of course the iridescent clothing that kept the baby warm. Patty hesitated. "I can't go with you, Olivia. My family, my job. I can't just disappear." Olivia nodded, understanding. "Then stay here. Tell them I took the baby and ran. It'll be better if they're only hunting one person." Patty hugged her tightly. "Be careful. And keep in touch if you can." Olivia slipped out the back door with the baby just as headlights appeared on the road leading to the cabin. She had Sam's truck keys. The sheriff had left them just in case, and the vehicle was parked behind a shed. As she drove away, keeping her lights off until she reached the highway, Olivia whispered to the baby, "I'll keep you safe. I promise." The baby touched her cheek and showed her a new image, the 2 of them together with the baby growing, learning, thriving. Olivia smiled through her tears. Whatever happened next, they were in it together. The hidden base of the Starlight Guardians was located deep underground in an abandoned mining complex in Wyoming. From the outside, it looked like nothing more than a failed mining operation, with old equipment rusting away and warning signs about dangerous shafts. But below ground, the Guardians had created a sanctuary. Olivia watched in amazement as Nova played with 2 other alien children in a room designed to look like a Luminari nursery. The walls were covered with symbols similar to those in the hologram, and the lighting mimicked the dual suns of their homeworld. Nova, now looking like a 4-year-old human child after just 4 months on Earth, was teaching the other children a game involving patterns of light they created with their color-shifting skin. "She's growing so fast," Olivia said to Catherine. Powell, the quantum physicist who had been studying luminary technology for the past decade. Catherine nodded, her gray eyes serious behind her glasses. "The rapid growth is normal for their species, especially for memory keepers. They need to mature quickly to access the genetic memories they carry. Nova had begun accessing those memories more frequently. Sometimes she would suddenly freeze, her eyes going distant, and then begin drawing complex diagrams or speaking in fluent luminari. The language was still mostly musical tones impossible for human vocal cords to reproduce. But Nova was teaching the Guardians key phrases and concepts. "What is she remembering today?" Catherine asked, noticing Olivia's thoughtful expression. "Star maps," Olivia replied. "She showed me the path her mother's ship took to reach Earth. And something else, a device her people created to hide from the Void Collective. Some kind of cloaking technology." Catherine's eyes lit up with interest. "That could be crucial. The Collective finds worlds by detecting specific energy signatures. If the Luminari developed a way to mask those signatures, it might help protect Earth if the Collective ever comes looking," Olivia finished. That was the fear that hung over all of them, that the Void Collective would track the refugee ships to Earth. So far there had been no sign of them, but the Luminary survivors all carried the same warning. The Collective always found them eventually. Their conversation was interrupted by an alarm. Red lights flashed and a voice came over the intercom. "Security breach at entrance 3. All personnel to secure positions. This is not a drill." Olivia rushed to Nova, gathering her and the other alien children. The Guardians had practiced this many times. Each child had a designated guardian and a hiding place deep in the complex where the special shielding was strongest. As Olivia hurried Nova down a corridor, Diane appeared, her face grim. "Government forces," she said. "They found us," someone talked. "Agent Reed?" Olivia asked, her heart pounding. Diane nodded. "And she brought a small army. They're saying they have a warrant for the entire complex, something about suspicion of housing illegal aliens." She gave a humorless laugh at the literal truth of the accusation. They reached the safe room, a small chamber with walls lined with the same iridescent material as Nova's blanket. The door was designed to look like part of the rock wall when closed. "Stay here," Olivia told Nova, trying to keep her voice calm. "Remember our quiet game? I need you to be very quiet now." Nova looked at her with those large, intelligent eyes. "They want to take me away," she said in perfect English. Her language skills had developed rapidly in recent weeks. "I won't let them," Olivia promised, hugging the child tightly. Nova touched Olivia's face, sharing not a memory but a current thought. "A plan." Olivia gasped. "No, Nova, that's too dangerous." "It will work," Nova insisted. "I've seen it in the memories. The device my mother gave me. It can do more than show messages." The small device that had projected the hologram of Nova's mother had been studied by Catherine and the other scientists, but they had never fully understood its capabilities. Nova, however, was beginning to remember. "It can make me look human," Nova explained. "A projection, but solid. They won't know it's not real." Before Olivia could argue further, Nova had taken the device from around her neck where she always wore it. She pressed a sequence of symbols on its surface, and light enveloped her. When it faded, a human child stood in Nova's place, a little girl with olive skin, brown hair, and perfectly normal human features. Only her eyes remained unusual. Though now brown instead of purple, they still held that ancient intelligence. "See?" Nova said, twirling around. "Just like you." Olivia stared in shock. The transformation was perfect. She reached out to touch Nova's now human-looking face. It felt solid and warm, not like a hologram at all. "This is how we've hidden among other species for generations," Nova explained in a voice that sounded older than her apparent age. "The memories are showing me how." Their plan formed quickly. Instead of hiding, they would walk out openly. Nova would maintain her human disguise, and they would pose as a mother and daughter caught up in whatever legitimate business the mining company claimed to conduct above ground. It was risky, but less risky than being found in a hidden room, which would immediately confirm they had something to hide. As they made their way back through the complex, they could hear commotion from the upper levels. The Guardians were stalling, demanding to see warrants, questioning the legality of the search. Olivia and Nova took a service elevator that led to an office in one of the above-ground buildings. They emerged into what looked like a normal mining company office. with maps on the walls and filing cabinets full of geological surveys, all part of the Guardian's cover. Through the window, Olivia could see black SUVs and armed agents surrounding the building, and there, directing operations, was Agent Eleanor Reed. Reed looked different from the descriptions Olivia had heard, thinner, with dark circles under her eyes, as if she hadn't been sleeping well. She was giving orders to her team, but something in her manner seemed hesitant, conflicted. Nova tugged at Olivia's hand. "She's not sure anymore," the disguised alien child whispered. "I can feel it from here. She's questioning her orders." Olivia looked at Nova in surprise. "You can sense her thoughts from this distance?" Nova nodded. "My abilities are growing stronger. The memories are teaching me how to use them." She closed her eyes briefly. She knows something about the Void Collective that she didn't know before, something that scares her. Before Olivia could ask more, the office door opened. 2 agents entered, weapons drawn. "Hands where we can see them," one ordered. Olivia raised her hands slowly, making sure to look frightened but confused, not guilty. "What's going on?" "We were just filling out paperwork for my husband's job application." The agents looked uncertain. Clearly, they had been briefed to look for an alien child, not a normal-looking human girl. "Who are you?" the second agent demanded. "Nancy White," Olivia lied, using another of her prepared aliases. "This is my daughter Emma. My husband applied for a security position here. They asked us to come in to complete some family background checks." She gestured to the papers on the desk, which the Guardians had prepared for just such a scenario. The first agent began to lower his weapon, but the second remained suspicious. "ID," he demanded. Olivia handed over the fake driver's license the Guardians had provided. It would hold up to a basic check, though not deep scrutiny. The agent was about to say something else when Agent Reed herself entered the room. She looked tired up close with lines of stress around her eyes. "Ma'am," the first agent said, "we found these 2 in the office. They claim to be here for a job application process." Reed looked at Olivia, then at Nova in her human disguise. Something flickered in her eyes. Recognition? But that was impossible. They had never met. "Leave us," Reed ordered the other agents. When they hesitated, she added sharply, "Now." When they were alone, Reed closed the door and turned to face Olivia and Nova. "Remarkable technology," she said quietly, looking at Nova. "Almost perfect, but the eyes are wrong. Luminari eyes don't change completely, even with projection technology." Olivia stepped in front of Nova protectively. "I don't know what you're talking about." Reed sighed and rubbed her temples. "Please, I'm not here to hurt the child. If I wanted to capture her, I would have told my agents what to look for." She paused. "I need to talk to you. Both of you. It's important." Nova touched Olivia's hand, sending a quick thought. She's telling the truth. She's afraid. "Talk about what?" Olivia asked cautiously. "About the fact that my superiors have been in contact with representatives of the Void Collective for the past 6 weeks, Reed said bluntly. "About the fact that they're considering an alliance that would be disastrous for Earth." Olivia felt cold fear wash over her. "The Collective is here? Already?" Reed nodded grimly. "Not in force. Just a scout ship, in orbit beyond our moon. They contacted us using technology we barely understand. Offered an exchange. They help us advance our technology by decades, and in return, we help them locate and capture all Luminari refugees on Earth." "And your government agreed?" Olivia asked, horrified. "Some did," Reed admitted. "Others are more cautious. I was ordered to continue the hunt for the child while negotiations proceed." She looked at Nova with something like wonder. "But then, I saw the full briefing on the Collective. Intelligence gathered from intercepted Luminari communications. I realized what they really are, not allies, not traitors, parasites." The Pentagon war room fell silent as the last of Nova's projected memories faded from the air. The alien child stood in the center of the room, her skin glowing with exhaustion after the intense telepathic effort of sharing the fall of her homeworld with the 20 most powerful military and political leaders on Earth. Olivia moved to Nova's side, supporting the child as she swayed slightly. Though Nova now appeared to be around 7 years old, her growth still accelerated far beyond human norms. She was pushing her developing abilities to their limits. "Thank you, Nova," Olivia whispered, wrapping a protective arm around her shoulders. The Secretary of Defense, a stern woman with steel-gray hair, was the first to speak. "If what we've just seen is accurate, it is," Nova said, her musical voice carrying clearly despite her fatigue. "These are not interpretations or stories. They are direct memories passed from those who witnessed these events. The memories had been horrifying. The Void Collective's betrayal of the Luminary had followed the same pattern they now proposed for Earth. First contact, offers of technological exchange, then a slow infiltration. By the time the Luminary realized the danger, it was too late. The Collective had already mapped their defenses, studied their technology, and positioned their forces. The war that followed was brief and devastating. "What I don't understand," said the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, "is why they need our permission at all. If they're as powerful as these memories suggest, why not just take what they want?" "Resources," Agent Reed answered. She stood near the door, officially present as a liaison, but actually there to ensure Nova's safety. In the 2 weeks since their confrontation at the Guardian base, Reed had become an unexpected ally. Invasion is costly. They prefer to be invited in. To have a planet's inhabitants do most of the work for them, less damage to the infrastructure they want to eventually control. Nova nodded. "They are not conquerors in the traditional sense. They are parasites. They prefer healthy hosts." "And these negotiations?" the president asked, speaking for the first time since the presentation began. "They're still expecting an answer in 5 days?" "Yes, Madam President," Reed confirmed. "Their representative has made it clear that they consider our deadline non-negotiable." The president looked directly at Nova. "You've shown us what happened. Now tell us what we can do to prevent it from happening here." Nova's skin shifted to a deep, determined gold. "There is a defense system designed by my people in the final days of the war. It was never deployed because the Collective attacked before it could be completed, but I carry the complete plans in my genetic memory." "What kind of defense system?" asked the Secretary of Defense. "A planetary shield," Nova explained. "Not a physical barrier, but an energy field that makes Earth invisible to the Collective's sensors. They would believe the planet destroyed or abandoned." Excited murmurs filled the room, but Catherine Powell, who had been brought in as a scientific advisor, raised a cautionary hand. "The technology is far beyond our current capabilities. We would need years, possibly decades, to develop the necessary components." "We don't have years," Reed reminded them grimly. "There is another way," Nova said quietly. All eyes turned back to her. "I can activate the shield myself." Olivia stared at her in shock. "Nova, no. You've never mentioned this before." "Because I only fully accessed this memory last night," Nova admitted. "The knowledge was locked behind developmental barriers, only accessible when I reached this stage of growth." "What do you mean you can activate it yourself?" the president asked. Nova straightened, suddenly looking much older than her physical appearance. "Memory keepers like me don't just carry information. We are designed to implement it if necessary. My body can generate the initial field that would hide Earth from the Collective." "At what cost?" Olivia demanded, recognizing the hesitation in Nova's voice. Nova didn't answer immediately, which was answer enough. "It would kill her," Catherine realized aloud, her scientific mind quickly grasping the implications. "The energy requirements would be enormous." "Not necessarily kill," Nova corrected, "but transform. I would have to convert my physical form entirely to energy to power the initial phase of the shield. After that, Earth's natural electromagnetic field would sustain it once properly tuned." "Absolutely not," Olivia declared, moving to stand between Nova and the others. "We'll find another way." The discussion devolved into heated debate. Some argued that one life, even an alien one, was a small price to pay for the safety of an entire planet. Others insisted there must be alternatives. Through it all, Nova remained silent, her eyes distant as she accessed more memories, searching for options. As the arguments continued, alarms suddenly blared throughout the building. Screens around the war room flashed with urgent warnings. Multiple objects entering Earth's atmosphere, a technician reported, his voice tight with fear. "They're not following any known trajectory. Speed and size consistent with large spacecraft." The collective, Nova whispered, her skin paling to a frightened white. They're not waiting for their deadline. They're attacking now. Chaos erupted as military leaders began shouting orders, coordinating what defense they could muster against a threat they had no real way to fight. In the confusion, Olivia pulled Nova aside. We need to get you out of here. If they're attacking, it means they know you're here. They know about the shield technology. Nova nodded. They must have detected my telepathic activity when I shared the memories. It created a unique energy signature they could track. Agent Reed joined them, her face grim. I've arranged transport. We need to move now while there's still time. They slipped out of the war room as the military leaders focused on the immediate threat. Reed led them through service corridors and down to a parking garage where Diane was waiting with a vehicle. How bad is it? Diane asked as they climbed in. Worse than bad, Reed replied. Full-scale invasion. They must have had forces positioned nearby all along, just waiting for confirmation of what they were looking for. As they drove away from the Pentagon, the sky above Washington, D.C. darkened with ominous shapes, massive ships, angular and black, blocking out the sun as they descended. Smaller craft broke off from the main ships, heading toward strategic locations. They're targeting military installations first, Reed noted, watching the patterns of movement. Then power grids, communication centers, standard invasion protocol. Where are we going? Olivia asked, holding Nova close as the child trembled, her skin flickering between frightened white and determined gold. There's a Starlight Guardian facility beneath the old Greenbrier bunker, Diane explained. It has equipment we've been developing based on luminary technology. If Nova's going to attempt this shield, that's the place to do it. Nova looked up at Olivia, her large eyes filled with resolve. I have to try, Olivia. This is why my mother sent me here. This is what all the memory keepers were created for, to preserve our people's knowledge and use it to save others from our fate. Olivia felt tears burning in her eyes. In the months since finding Nova in the Alaskan snow, the alien child had become her family. The thought of losing her was unbearable. There has to be another way, she insisted. Nova touched her face gently, sharing not memories but feelings, love, gratitude, and a strange peace. Sometimes there isn't another way. Sometimes there is only the right way. Their journey to the Greenbrier was tense, with reports of fighting and destruction coming in from across the globe. The collective's attack was swift and devastating, their technology far beyond Earth's defenses. Major cities were already reporting massive damage and casualties. The old bunker, built during the Cold War and later expanded by the Guardians, offered temporary shelter. Catherine and other scientists were already there, working frantically with equipment derived from salvaged luminary technology. We've prepared as best we can, Catherine told them as they entered the main laboratory. But without the complete plans, I have them, Nova said. She closed her eyes briefly, accessing the genetic memories. When she opened them again, she began to speak in rapid technical terms, describing energy configurations and quantum alignments that only Catherine seemed to partially understand. The scientists worked through the night, modifying their equipment according to Nova's instructions. Outside, the world burned. Reports filtered in of collective forces establishing ground control in major cities, of resistance being crushed, of ultimatums being issued to surrendering governments. By dawn, they were ready. The laboratory had been transformed into something that looked like a cross between a medical facility and a particle accelerator. In the center was a platform where Nova would stand. The process will take approximately 17 minutes, Nova explained, now sounding entirely like an adult luminary scientist, despite her childlike appearance. The shield will begin to form immediately but won't be complete until the transformation finalizes. And then? Olivia asked, her voice breaking. Nova's expression softened. And then Earth will be safe. The collective will be unable to detect it. Their forces already here will be cut off from their main fleet and can be dealt with. But what happens to you? Olivia insisted. Nova took her hands. I don't know exactly. No memory keeper has done this before. The theory suggests a transformation, not an ending. 3 months passed since Olivia fled with the alien baby she now called Nova. The name seemed fitting for a child from the stars. They had been on the move constantly, never staying in one place for more than a few days. Olivia's savings were dwindling, and she had to be careful about using her credit cards or phone, which could be traced. Nova was growing at an amazing rate. Though still small enough to carry easily, she now looked like a human toddler in size, though her features remained distinctly alien. Her skin still shifted colors with her moods and to absorb light, and her large purple eyes saw things humans couldn't. She had begun making sounds that seemed like attempts at speech, mixing her musical native language with attempts at English words. They were currently staying in a small cabin in the woods of northern Montana. Olivia had paid cash for a week's stay, telling the owner she was a writer seeking solitude. The cabin had no internet and poor cell service, which suited her needs perfectly. Nova sat on the floor, playing with a simple puzzle Olivia had bought her. The alien child could solve complex puzzles meant for much older children, her three-fingered hands moving with surprising dexterity. "Good job," Olivia praised, as Nova completed the puzzle in record time. Nova looked up and smiled, her skin shifting to a happy golden hue. "Olivia," Nova said carefully, pointing at her. It was the first time she had said Olivia's name clearly, and Olivia felt tears spring to her eyes. "That's right. I'm Olivia," she said, kneeling down to hug the child. Nova hugged back, and as usual images flowed between them. Nova's feelings of safety and love, mixed with constant curiosity about this new world. Their peaceful moment was interrupted by the sound of a vehicle approaching. Olivia tensed, peering out the window. A truck she didn't recognize was coming up the dirt road to the cabin. "Quick, Nova," she whispered. "Hide place," Nova understood immediately. They had practiced this many times. The alien child quickly crawled into a hidden space they had prepared under the floorboards, taking her special blanket made from her mother's clothes with her. Olivia replaced the rug over the trapdoor just as a knock came at the cabin door. Heart-pounding, Olivia opened it to find a woman in her mid-40s with short gray hair and a weathered face. She wore a flannel shirt and jeans looking like any local might, but something about her alert eyes made Olivia suspicious. "Can I help you?" Olivia asked, trying to sound casual. "Car trouble," the woman said, pointing down the road. "My truck died about a quarter-mile back. Could I use your phone to call for help?" "No service here," Olivia said truthfully. "But I have a satellite radio for emergencies." She let the woman in, watching her carefully. The stranger glanced around the cabin, her eyes lingering a bit too long on certain areas. "I'm Diane," the woman said, extending her hand. "Laura," Olivia lied, using one of her fake names. As they shook hands, Olivia noticed something on Diane's wrist, a small tattoo partially hidden by her sleeve. It was one of the symbols from Nova's mother's holographic message. Olivia froze, her hand still in Diane's grip. Diane noticed her reaction and slowly pushed up her sleeve, fully revealing the tattoo. "You recognize this," Diane said. It wasn't a question. "Who are you?" Olivia demanded, pulling her hand away and backing up. Diane sighed. "Someone who's been where you are. Someone who knows what you're hiding." She rolled up her sleeve further, showing more tattoos, all symbols Olivia had seen in the hologram. "I'm not here to hurt you or the child. I'm here to help." "I don't know what you're talking about," Olivia insisted. Diane looked at her sadly. 3 months ago, a small craft crashed in Alaska. Its occupant wrapped her child in her own clothes to keep it warm and hid it in the snow before dying from her injuries and the cold. A human woman found the baby and has been on the run ever since, staying one step ahead of government agents who want to capture the child. She paused. "How am I doing so far?" Olivia said nothing, but her hand inched toward the knife block on the kitchen counter. "I'm not with them," Diane said quickly, noticing the movement. "I'm with a group that's been aware of the Luminary for years. That's what they call themselves. The people your child comes from." "How do you know about them?" Olivia asked, still not trusting this stranger. "Because 15 years ago I found one too," Diane said simply. "An adult, injured, crash-landed in the field behind my house in Idaho. I hid him from the authorities. He taught me about his people before he died." Her eyes grew sad. "They're refugees, Olivia, scattered across the galaxy, fleeing from an enemy that has nearly wiped them out." A small sound came from under the floor. Nova could sense Olivia's emotions and was concerned. Diane smiled. "It's okay, little one. You can come out. I'm a friend." After a moment's hesitation, Olivia nodded and moved the rug aside. Nova climbed out, looking at Diane with curiosity rather than fear. Diane knelt down to Nova's level. "Hello, young one," she said softly. Then, to Olivia's shock, she made a series of musical tones, similar to Nova's native language. Nova's eyes widened. She responded with her own musical sounds, much more complex than what Diane had produced, but clearly related. "My pronunciation is terrible," Diane admitted to Olivia, "but she understands the greeting." Nova approached Diane cautiously and reached out her hand. Diane offered her own hand, and Nova touched it. The alien child's skin rippled with colors as the telepathic connection formed. Diane gasped softly. "She's so strong," she whispered. "Much stronger than Valen was." "Valen?" Olivia asked. "The luminary I found. He was a scientist, not a warrior like her mother was." Diane looked at Olivia with sudden intensity. "You need to come with me now. They know you're in this area." "It won't be long before they find this cabin. Who told you where to find us?" Olivia demanded, still suspicious. "Samantha Kirby," Diane said. "She's part of our network. She couldn't tell you about us when you first found Nova. We have to be extremely careful about who we trust. But she's been helping us track you, staying one step ahead of Agent Reed's team." Olivia felt a surge of relief knowing Sam was still on her side, but it was quickly replaced by worry. "How close are they?" "Too close," Diane said grimly. "We need to move now. Pack only what you need." It took less than 10 minutes to gather their essential supplies. Nova seemed to trust Diane completely after their telepathic exchange, which helped ease Olivia's fears. Diane's truck, far from being broken down, was hidden in a stand of trees off the main road. It was an old model but well-maintained with a camper shell covering the bed. "Get in the back," Diane instructed, opening the camper. Inside was a small living space with a bench seat, storage compartments, and what looked like sophisticated electronic equipment. "It's shielded," Diane explained. "They can't detect the child's energy signature while you're in there." As they drove away from the cabin, Diane explained more about the network she belonged to, a loose coalition of humans who had encountered the Luminari over the years and chosen to help them. They called themselves the Starlight Guardians. "The Luminari have been sending refugees to Earth for decades," Diane said. "Never many at once, just small ships with 1 or 2 people trying to escape notice. Most died in the journey or upon arrival. A few survived long enough to tell their story." "The war?" Olivia asked, remembering the visions Nova had shared. Diane nodded. "They call their enemy the Void Collective, a species that consumes other civilizations, stealing their technology and resources before moving on. They've been hunting the Luminary across multiple star systems. Earth is remote, primitive by their standards, not worth the collective's attention, or so the Luminary hoped." Nova had fallen asleep on Olivia's lap, her skin a peaceful blue. "Why Nova?" Olivia asked. "Why send a child?" Diane glanced back at the sleeping alien. "Because children are the future. The Luminari were losing the war when they started sending their children away. But Nova is special, even among her kind. The telepathic images she's shared with you. Have you noticed anything unusual about them?" Olivia thought about it. "They're becoming clearer, more detailed. At first it was just feelings, simple images. Now I see whole scenes, memories that can't be hers because they're from before she was born." "Exactly," Diane said. "Nova isn't just any child. She's a memory keeper. The Luminari can pass genetic memories down through generations, but memory keepers are rare. Children specifically engineered to carry the collective knowledge of their people. If their civilization falls, the children ensure their culture and technology survive." Olivia looked down at Nova with new wonder and fear. No wonder Agent Reed and her team were so determined to capture them. "Where are we going?" she asked. "Somewhere safe," Diane promised. "A place where Nova can grow and learn, where others like you, guardians of the Luminari, can help protect her." As they drove through the night, Olivia felt a strange mix of emotions. Fear, yes, but also hope. For the first time since finding Nova in the snow, she wasn't alone in this impossible task. There were others who understood, who would help. Nova stirred in her sleep, her small hand finding Olivia's. A new image formed in Olivia's mind. Nova's homeworld, beautiful and peaceful before the war. Then Earth seen through Nova's alien perspective, equally beautiful in its own way. The 2 planets connected by a bridge of light, with Nova standing at its center. A future worth fighting for.